Great to have you all here. We have, as you know, we've been trying to do content sharing for a long time at the center. Some things have worked, some things have not worked, but we're determined to get a really great system in place in 2026, and this is the start of that. And so you all know Andy, who is our lead on this, and we have a little bit of funding from Google, like $50,000, to support Andy's work and to support setting up content sharing networks. Because one of the things we hear over and over again from people is that it's not easy to do, that they're interested in picking up content or they're interested in making their content available for pickup, but it's just not easy to do. And so Johnny works at this intersection. So Johnny Bassett from PluckyWorks. So PluckyWorks is one of two platforms we're going to test. We're testing Distributed Media Lab and we're testing Plucky. And they're very different. But they both have the same sort of, similar, same end goals. And so Johnny has our environment set up for the New Jersey News Commons in PluckyWorks. He's going to talk more about the RSS feeds, like he just said, different convenient ways to get content in. And Andy put it best earlier. We're preparing for the makers and the takers here. You all represent the makers today.
Did you talk to Andy about that? Because we were laughing about that because we're going to do it on the Trenton Bridge. We were originally calling it eaters and feeders, but we were like, that sounds
makers and
weird.
takers. I like that better.
Yeah, metaphors are running amok.
I love it. Yeah. So yeah, let's just go around the room so Johnny knows who, and you all know each other. So Andy and Joe. Jay, do you mind going?
Sure. I'm Jay Lustig. My website is njarts.net. We cover the arts throughout New Jersey. I live in Montclair. We cover mostly the northern half of the state, partly just for convenience and partly because that's just where most of the arts action is. But we do have stuff really that's relevant for most locations in the state. I understand that most of these sites are kind of geographic. They're hyperlocal.
Hyperlocal, geographically bound is what I say. Yep.
We're more kind of regional, but I think that gives us a unique space of really producing stuff that I think a lot of the sites in the state would be interested in.
I always forget you're down the road, Jay.
Yeah.
And just to echo, like in so many of my conversations with hyperlocal news sites, that what Jay says is true. There's a lot of interest in his work.
Deb, you want to go? Sorry, you're chewing. We can have Mark go.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mark.
Deb Howlett. I'm the founder and editor of New Jersey State House News Service. It's a student intern program where we bring 6 to 8 interns in every semester from all the colleges and universities in New Jersey and teach them how to cover state government and politics, teaching them, mentor them, and try and get them interested in doing this as a profession because we need to fill that pipeline. We're based out of Trenton. We are a content production house. We don't publish ourselves. That may change at some point, but we don't want to be in competition with the media partners that we serve. So we want to serve them up content from Trenton, and we don't want to compete with them. I don't want to run a website. We don't really have enough production day after day because we're bound by academic semesters and that sort of thing. So we probably will never have our own true website. We may have an Our Works page that suffices, but otherwise we just supply content. We're the makers, not the takers.
I probably should have mentioned, but we're web only. We have no print version of it.
Hello, I'm Mark Berkey Gerard. I am one of the co-advisors for South Jersey Climate News. So we're at Rowan University. The content's created by students. It's now a full class at Rowan. So we'll have 18 students next semester doing it. So we tend to do...
Oh, great, 18 students. That's fantastic.
Yeah, we've built it into the curriculum. Which goes both ways because now it's like we're making students do it. So so you get some who are interested and some who aren't, but that's how it goes. So we cover local environmental stories. And we publish our own website, so sjclimate.news. Students also do social media. They send out a weekly email newsletter. So the class is really like how to run a digital publication from start to finish as a team. We do have news partners. So we've had like 6 news organizations that have republished our students' work. So it's a way to not only have them self-publish on the website, but get their bylines other places. But that's an arduous process. Usually involves me emailing an editor of some news organization and trying to convince them to post our stories. So anything that makes that simpler and less labor intensive is great. So that's why we're here.
Great.
Thanks for inviting us.
Awesome. So yeah, Johnny, take it away.
Okay. So it's very nice to meet you all. I'm glad this is a small group so I can actually hear more about what each of you guys are doing. I'm familiar with all your outlets because of conversations I've been having with Andy, and as you'll see in a few minutes, I've been poking around on your sites and I've pulled a demo story from almost everybody here. Not New Jersey State House News Service, I think, because I couldn't find where those stories were going. So I appreciate the context now. But so just a quick raise of hands, who all saw me talk in the first couple things that we did earlier this year? I know I see Joe's hand up. Deborah, Jay, and Mark, have you seen me talk before, or is this this is a new thing? Okay, Jay?
I have not, no.
Okay.
Yeah, all new.
All right, great. So, so my name's Johnny. I've been working with really small newsrooms, mostly in the Northeast for the last 5 years, primarily in the state of New Hampshire, where there's a news collaborative, about 24 outlets, ranging from like 2 to 3 person outlets up to the NPR affiliate in the state, NHPR, which is like in the 20 to 50 reporter range. And so I have worked in a bunch of different fields in the past. I was a documentary film editor. I got a history PhD living in the Philippines and doing stuff on the Philippine drug war. And in doing all that, working with newspapers, working with newsrooms, doing research, ended up building a bunch of simple tools that are just practical and affordable to help you get the job done without trying to like do the whizziest AI, bloody, bloody, blah, or like whatever. It just needs to be reliable and cheap and needs to help you so you can focus on the editorial things that are much more important than learning some new tool. So that's the general philosophy of everything that we've been doing for the last 1.5 years with Plucky. And that's very much the philosophy behind PluckyWire. So I'm going to start sharing my screen in a few minutes, and I'm going to, given that this is your first time seeing anything about this, I'll give you just a really quick high-level introduction to it. And then I've got a slideshow that I'm going to copy into the chat right here so you can poke around on it at your leisure. But it's like a more visual introduction to how, if you were, as soon as this meeting ends, to start uploading stories to PluckyWire, how you would do that. And I'm going to walk you through that here, but this is like the start of some basic documentation for you to do that. So after our meeting today, I'll go through and update it with anything that's come up during the call that was obviously missing from that. And so I'll send this to you as a PDF after the fact. So this is just for you to poke around now as we're talking, and then you'll get something that looks better at the end. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. And for the next like 5-10 minutes, I'll just give you a quick overview of how this thing works. Okay. Jay, I can still see you. Can you give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're looking at right now is the page that that you and your partners are going to spend most of your time on when you're on PluckyWire. And you've all seen loads of interfaces like this before. It's supposed to feel just like any sort of Google Drive you've ever gone to. You see all the stories here, but beyond what you can get with some other tools, like if you've been using Google Drive or a Airtable or something like that, there's some things here about that are specific that I want to point out to you that are going to be useful to the editors who are finding your content. One is that we make it very easy to figure out where these things came from. So here's a New Jersey Spotlight story I pulled just a few minutes ago. We've got one from, I believe, from South Jersey. Oh, no, not from New Jersey State Health Service, I think. Oh, I didn't pull those ones in. Oh, New Jersey Arts, we definitely have some of those, I believe. Oh, let me refresh this real quick. Oh, here we go. Okay. So here we've got New Jersey Spotlight. We have some New Jersey art story that I brought in as well. And what you can see here is both for the print outlets, they'll want to know how many words are in each of these stories. We make that easy to find. It's easy to see the license that is attached to each of these stories. So the default is that a lot of these stories are going out under Creative Commons, but this is a conversation that we're all going to have with Andy and with all of you to make sure that the license that these things are getting shared under is fit for purpose. We also make it easy to see how many audio visuals are attached to any story. So you can also, if there's an audio piece, so here the State Broadcast News, they had an audio file attached to one of these stories. You can see that there, all this kind of thing. If there were videos, you'd see those PDFs, blah, blah, blah. Over on the right-hand side here, you can see we've got an eyeball and a little recycling sign. That's where analytics will go as people start looking at this. That's where you'll start to know, Jay, for example, you would know which outlets had looked at any story of yours, and you would know who had downloaded that story. And the benefit of people accessing your stories through PluckyWire rather than going to your site is that if, let's say, Jay, you ever have to issue a correction alert on that story, for many folks, it's hard to know where to send that. But here, because we know which newsrooms came in and downloaded the thing, we automatically send those correction alerts for you and make it easy for you to pass an editor's note and let the republishing outlet know what sort of correction is involved. This is like a takedown sort of notice or just a gentle reporting update. All of that is automated for you, so you don't have to keep track of where things go. So I'm going to come back to what it's like for an outlet when they're downloading a story, because I'm going to focus on uploading, which is the focus, the thing that you guys care the most about. And so to do that, I'm going to click into the upload page here. So I'm going to just quickly skim over this, and I'm going to pop into the slideshow that I shared with you a few minutes ago, because that breaks this down. So the point here is that this form is very simple. It's one page. Everything gets slotted in right here. In practice, it takes about a minute for each story that you upload. So in New Hampshire, where they've been using this for the last year and a half or so, they share about 30 or 40 stories per day. And they have not opted to use any of the automated features that I'll tell you about later. So they're the ones who have been using this manual form. And were you to start sharing right away, this is by far the easiest way to start sharing. There's no sort of setup required. So I'm going to jump over to the slideshow here, and we'll break this down. So Jay, can you see the new slideshow here? Okay, yep. Great. So just want to reiterate with all of this stuff that this is really like the start of a process. As I'm learning from you what your technical needs are, and so I'm going to show you these things so that you have a sense of the baseline here. But know that this is intended to help you quick start, that you could upload stories immediately after this meeting if you wanted to. But that if there's something about this that isn't fit for purpose with how your newsroom works or how your CMS works, then let's talk about it, because I'm working with a bunch of outlets now to add sort of little tweaks and things. RSS, Andy's been talking to each of you, I think, about your RSS feeds. That's one way that a lot of newsrooms have opted to upload things. But if that doesn't work for you, we have web scraping options available, that sort of thing that I'm happy to discuss with you. So after this call, you're going to register And Andy's going to help you do that. He's going to send you an email with a simple link in it. When you click on that link, it just walks you through the sign-up process. That process involves you registering a personal account, and that's how you'll be able to get in out of Plucky. And then you register your account. Everybody here or your outlet. Everybody here is in an outlet that we've already created for you on New Jersey News Commons. So when you sign up for PluckyWire, you'll be automatically added to that outlet. We facilitate that connection so you don't have to reinvent anything. And you'll know you're done when you arrive on that search page that I already showed you. So the way that you upload stories, you go to the conveniently named Upload tab. And when you're on the Upload tab, you see that form that I just highlighted for you. So the top part of the form asks for some of the standard information, the publication date, the headline, the subhead, if you've got one, the author names. Right now, these are just text fields. In the future, we'll be able to standardize that more once we know who all the possible reporters are that are coming in through your outlet. And then the partners. So this is how we associate your outlet with the story so that you get all the good tracking information. So when you click on this button, the select button, it brings up the pop-up where you just check the box next to your outlet, click save, and you're good. If you co-publish with a newsroom outside New Jersey News Commons, you can just type their name into the outside contributors field. Sometimes that comes up. It's not typical, but it can, and so you should be aware of that. If, let's say, multiple newsrooms are co-publishing, you can select multiple outlets in that pop-up. After that, we collect or we give you the option to share the canonical URL if you'd like that to be part of all of this. We let you set an editor's note. The editor's note is visible to the editors who are using PluckyWire, but when we send it for download to everybody's CMS, the editor's note is not included. So there's no risk of that accidentally showing up on someone's page. You can set an embargo. So the embargoed stories can't be viewed or downloaded until after that date has passed it, but the headline will be visible to other newsrooms as soon as you're posted. So the benefit that we've found for this is that it's a great way for newsrooms to still keep exclusivity on whatever story that is, but so that other outlets know that this is coming. Okay, on Saturday, then this big piece from New Jersey Spotlight's going to be available to us, that sort of thing. The body text and boilerplate are, as you can imagine, some of the most important fields here. And so I just want to highlight how the body text field works in particular. So body text is just for the actual text. It accepts HTML and rich text formatting. The media and embeds are uploaded separately. And the reason why we do that separately is that as everybody is contributing media, there will be some media that is that people want to make freely available to the whole group, because it ends up being sort of like a stock photo library for the New Jersey News Commons. So by uploading that separately, that gives us the opportunity down the line for all the photos that are under Creative Commons, for example, that we can search those separately outside of the stories themselves. If, let's say, so this is something that has come up sometimes for folks like Andy. If you're going to everybody's sites and you're pulling things off and you don't, say, have access to the CMS, you can copy the whole article off of someone's page, drop it into the body text, and then start dragging and dropping photos over into the right-hand side. So this is how I uploaded this New Jersey Spotlight story a few minutes ago, because I don't have access to the CMS. So I dragged and dropped everything in. They had a photo with a cut line, so I dragged that over to the right, and it automatically took care of it and separated it out for me. So that's just a little convenience thing if you find yourself in the situation where you don't have access to the clean feed or the cleanly formatted version of it. And when you drop in those files, they appear below automatically as though you'd uploaded them on their own. So the file uploads and embedded media are right under that part of the form. So file upload, here we accept most image, audio, video, and PDF formats. so that we don't end up causing issues with people's CMSs on the receiving end. We standardize the images, audio and video to standard formats that keep the resolution that you put in. So you can expect, everybody who uses PluckyWire can expect on the back end they'll be getting JPEGs, MP3s, and MP4s in the standard YouTube codec. PDFs we don't have to do anything with, but you can share those this way as well. Embedded media. So on that New Jersey Spotlight story, for example, they had a YouTube video of some very angry lawmakers, which was actually a very entertaining video. And in that one, we can just drop in the URL to here, and it will save that as an embed and set up the code properly so that anybody who's trying to copy that into their own CMS, that it's got the embed format already set up for them. So we can do that for YouTube, Datawrapper, and Document Cloud currently. Adding new ones is very quick to do. So if you are used to adding in different kinds of embeds, talk to me about it, and I'll gladly set something up so that that other kind of embed is possible. The last two things on the upload form are just if you want to associate a story with a series, that's a really simple way to do some categorization. So that would be, let's say, if New Jersey News Commons was doing a big push around elections. So you could put all of your stories, associate them with the election series, and then that's an easy way for them to find that. We have a whole other tagging system that you can use for more detailed tagging. So geographic tags, topical tags, editorial tags. Editorial tags would be things like, oh, this one uses anonymous sources, or this is really data heavy. These are things that at the collaborative level, you all would want to talk about and just make sure there's some consensus on what the more useful tagging system would be. And then we can help automate the tagging process. This is something that we're working on right now. This is one of the very few ways in which we're using AI just to help with some of that automatic tagging. So if that's something that would be interesting for you, talk to me about it because we can set that up. At the end, we've got licensing. This is the kind of thing that you should never have to think about when you're uploading a story, because those conversations should have happened with Andy and Stephanie and Joe at the outset. So that's where Creative Commons is an easy one, but if New Jersey News Commons wants to have its own default license or its own custom license, you can add that. If you want to have your own license under that your content alone would run under, you can add that as well. Just keep in mind that it adds a little bit of a cognitive burden to the editors who are trying to decide if they can use your stuff, because they have to assess that license on its own. So once you've done all of that uploading, once you've clicked that button, it goes up. Like I said, it took a couple minutes to talk through, but when you do it, it takes about a minute per story. Once that's up, then you don't have to think about it anymore. You can come back in a couple weeks and just look at the analytics and see who all has been viewing your story. So I'm going to pop over to the analytics page that you can see right now for an active network. So here I'm going to pop into analytics for Granite State News Collaborative. So here we can see this is collaborative wide. This is all of the sharing that's been going on. You can bring it back over the last 18 months. You can see they only started sharing about 12 months ago. Here you can see the breakdown of all the stories shared by outlet, and we're just finishing up adding the stories reprinted by each outlet. And then if I am part of a outlet, so this would be Deborah, Jay, and Mark, this would be you. So you would be able to see this dashboard here where you can see all the stories that you've shared, how many times they've been downloaded. You can see per outlet who's been viewing your stories and who's been downloading them. So here, this is every story by the Granite State News Collaborative, which is a group of freelancers that are producing for the collaborative on a whole. This is every story that was viewed by the Keene Sentinel. You can see when it was published and when they viewed it. Same thing for the downloads. There's some other aggregate statistics down here. This is the kind of thing that is very, very easy to extend. So if Mark, Jay, and Deborah, if you have specific statistics that you need to report to your stakeholders end of year, that's a great thing for me to know about. Right now, I'm talking to several outlets about that, and we can set it up so that those statistics are visible for you right there. So you don't have to ask me about it. You don't have to do any of your own calculations. So beyond the analytics that you just saw there, which are tracking everything that's happening internally in PluckyWire, we also offer pixel trackers. You know that there are pros and cons to using pixel trackers, that some editors are not big fans of using them. We also, as Stephanie and Joe know from the demo I did a couple months ago, that we have an embedded widget that I'd be happy to work with you on if that was something that you were interested in. That's not live in production right now because there hasn't been huge demand for it. And we only work on the things that we know are going to be directly useful for folks. So that would be a great thing for you to speak up about if you were interested in that.
What's a pixel tracker?
A pixel tracker is it's the little bit of HTML that sometimes you'll see, like if you go to ProPublica and try to pull one of their stories, they'll add some scary language that like, don't edit the HTML when you download it. And that's because they've buried a little, it's like a fake photo that they put at the end of their story. And what that means is when that story loads on your page, it's calling to the ProPublica site. And so ProPublica knows that, oh, okay, Mark's site just somebody visited Mark's site and viewed my story that way. The benefit of it is when it works, then you get page view information from where the story goes. The downside of it is that some CMSs like WordPress make it really difficult to add pixel trackers. So they'll actually strip them out. So for like ProPublica, I know for a fact with ProPublica that they have a pixel tracker but they know that it's not comprehensive at all. And it's just like the low ball sort of page view number, but it's not an accurate representation of who's doing stuff. The benefit of the way that we're handling the tracking is that even though it doesn't give by default page view information, it is comprehensive. So you know that maybe somebody downloaded a story and then it ended up not getting a lot of views, or maybe if it's a print publication, the story got bumped at the last minute because some breaking news story came in, so it never actually made it to print. But at least you know for a fact that you know everywhere that your story went. And so were there a correction, you know that you're covered. You don't have, it's overestimates, if anything. And in practice, it doesn't overestimate that much. But thank you for asking about that. So that's so based on my quick chat with Andy yesterday, just that, showing you the uploading and showing you the analytics, those seemed like the two things that seemed like the most important to show you right now.
Johnny, the other thing, go ahead if you're gonna.
No, I was just gonna say I have stuff that I can show you about, like in that slide deck, I have stuff about downloading and all that. But Stephanie, if you have an idea.
Well, I was gonna say, sorry, I might have missed this because I've been dealing with medical stuff during this call, unfortunately. Did you talk yet about like Creative Commons licensing?
I brushed up against it, but I'll give a little more context for that.
Yeah.
Do you have a specific question that you have in mind?
No, I just want to make sure that everyone who's a maker understands that uploading their content into the system means that they're giving X permission to be used.
So I touched on this, so I'm going to briefly restate it, but Deborah, Mark, and Jay, if you have, and I think somebody else joined I can't see, but if you have a specific question, interrupt me because
it's John Mooney.
Yes,
hello,
I'm sorry.
John. No problem.
I somehow had the wrong hour, so.
No problem. So the way that the licensing works is that the license that I showed you as part of the upload process, that applies to everything in that story. So you choose what license goes on the stories that you upload. We encourage everybody to use Creative Commons because it's easier for everybody. It means that you don't have to pay for lawyers to do anything, and none of us want to spend more on lawyers. But we give you the option to upload your own license if you want. As we're getting more photos and videos and freelancer stuff that's getting uploaded into the platform, we're starting to talk to people more about, Deborah, I saw your hand. I'll come to you in a second. We're starting to get more requests about photo level licensing or video level licensing, stuff where it may have a specific license that lets it should be visible for X amount of time, or it can only be used in certain ways. And editors ought to be able to quickly find that or be able to avoid it completely if they know that they just can't handle the complexity. So what we're building towards, and this is not live yet, but this is something that we're starting to work on now, is making it so that licensing can be adjusted at that level, at the photo level or at the video level. So we don't want to add unnecessary burden to people. We don't want to make you go in and click 15 extra times for all these photos if you don't have to do that, which is why we're gradually stepping into this. So if that's a real need that you need that level of control, then I'd love to talk to you about that, because the more specific we can make it for you, the better the whole thing will work. Deborah, you have a question.
Yeah, it's actually for you and for Stephanie, and it's sort of a compound question because
Okay.
I'm going to be a pain in the ass.
Great.
So the licensing generally, it's set up to use Creative Commons by license, and you said that it's possible for the cooperative to set their own license.
Yeah.
And my question then would be sort of to Stephanie would that be a possibility? Would it be different than the Creative Commons? Are you looking at just using the regular Creative Commons?
Yeah, I mean, so Johnny and we talked about like a specific Creative Commons that's license that seems to apply to most folks, and we can pull that up. But if you specifically have something that you need for your own license, Johnny, is that possible in the system to know, right, that this provider has these specifications? Like, Deb, is there something like very specific that you think with State House News Service that you would want to see in the, because there's a bunch of different versions of Creative Commons licenses.
No, not really. I just wondered how tailored it would be to
what's
going on here.
Yeah.
So Johnny, let's pull up like maybe share the one that you think is the most applicable to the most news organizations. And then Deb, and Jay and Mark and John, if there's anything in that you think you don't want, there's other versions of Creative Commons, or you could always have your own.
Yeah. So what I'm going to
share. I guess that was the other part of my question is, could we set our own and ignore the other ones and just have our own in there for our own specific site, our own? Not that I'm going to do that, but I'm just curious.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
So yeah, so the strategy with all the licensing stuff is that we want to make it easy for you to do the standard thing, but possible for you to make it as complicated as you want. So
okay.
So I just shared a link in the chat there to one specific Creative Commons license. And the reason why I shared that one in particular is that both in conversation with Stephanie, that seemed to cover most people's needs. And also in practice, that is the license that is used by most national nonprofit newsrooms. Sometimes they will put additional caveats on top of the Creative Commons license, which if you're like a real nitpicky, or if you're a lawyer, then like you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to be able to put additional restrictions on Creative Commons. So, but the additional restrictions that those newsrooms put on are all the same additional restrictions, basically. So what I've been talking about with Stephanie, and then there's a group in Vermont that is doing something they're working with students, and student work is getting distributed statewide. So it's a very similar system. And there's a fellowship program in Washington State I'm working with where they have the same sort of thing. They want it to travel really widely, but there are some specific things about this specific license that aren't perfect for them. So what I am telling all of them to do is that I think there's an opportunity for everybody to have a quick conversation and come up with a standard license that is not Creative Commons, but is a slight adaptation of it that would fit everybody's needs. And the benefit of doing that is that for all the outlets that are going to be interacting with your work, they only have to think once about about that one standard license if it's a custom one that we all come up with, and then they never have to worry again. And Deborah, you know, in practice that like editors are not, if they see a new license, if they have to remember 5 different licenses, it's not going to happen. They're going to just kind of remember vaguely, oh, I guess I shouldn't do something. But like it's all best, you know, we're just trying to help people do the right thing. So that's why as few licenses as possible is the goal. And that's one way to solve it.
And my goal would be to have it licenses for as broad a use as possible. But one of the things that I'm concerned about for me is because I work with students and I have 7 or 8 different universities that I have to clear that licensing process with. So I don't, you know, I anticipate
this should be pretty simple. Yeah.
Yeah, it should be because it's pretty.
Yeah.
It's Creative Commons.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And also this is the one we use for a lot of news providers use this one because there's no derivatives, you know, attribution is required, and non-commercial use, which usually checks most of the boxes. But
I think it'd be fine.
Totally
I just wanted to know if there's room to.
Oh, if anyone's going to find a problem with it, Deb, it's going to be Rutgers. Don't worry.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I included all the universities, but that was the one. And then I had one other somewhat related question about the do you actually have to run the license itself as part of the copy that you publish, or is just there?
It's there for you as the editor to know about, so that you know that you are using it in the proper way. But then obviously the reader doesn't have to know about the license. Right. So you just you look at it, and then when you copy it into your CMS, then you forget about the license.
It's all behind the scenes.
All behind the scenes, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. So one of the things that Andy and I had talked about before this that could be worth talking about now, but if folks have to go, we can talk about it after, is how to make it as easy as possible for folks to do the uploading. I've just shown you the manual way to do it, which is by far the simplest. But if there are ways that we can automate it, some of that will depend really on your existing workflows and what your CMS is. So I'm curious, because there are just a couple of us here. Maybe if we start with you, Jay. Jay, what's your CMS, and how in the past when you have been, if you've shared things automatically with anyone, how have you done that in a way that worked for you?
Honestly, I don't even know what CMS is. What's CMS?
Okay, well, just like whatever the program is that you use to organize the stories and push them to the website.
Oh, well, it's WordPress.
WordPress?
Which means, yeah, okay.
Okay. Is it Newspack or standard WordPress?
I guess it's standard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think you would know if it was Newspack, because you would have had to pay a lot of money. You would have noticed.
It must be standard then, yeah.
Okay. All right. And Mark, what do you have?
That's like the best shade on Newspack I've heard.
Well, okay. Well, don't tell them that. Don't tell them that.
You would be writing a check.
Yeah. I'm sure they're nice people. I don't know them, so don't tell them that.
They are nice people, but it's just funny you say that, because that is a common gripe across the industry, that the major funders have been funding automatic to build Newspack, and it's still expensive as hell for news organizations. So
yes.
We're in a safe spot here. Okay. Joe's bot didn't come in. This is a safe spot. Yeah.
All right, just to make sure. Mark, you were about to say something.
Our site's hosted on the host is SNO, Student News Organization, which is like it's a version of WordPress that they've modified specifically for like campus media.
Okay.
But it's basically WordPress.
Okay. You said it's called Student News.
It's called SNO. So Student News Organization. It's yeah, a bunch of like editors. They built their own company that like kind of uses WordPress as the back end, but specifically for high schools and colleges.
Okay, that's super helpful. And Deborah, what do you have?
We were Google only.
Oh, right. That makes it so much easier. Docs. All Google Docs. Okay.
And we the way we send them, the way we distribute is that we send out because we're so antiquated and don't want to spend any money on any other system. We just send out an email with links to the Google Docs in a specific file that the specific partners have access to.
Okay. So so that was the system that they were using in New Hampshire before this. And so for that reason, we can set up PluckyWire so that when stories are uploaded, it automatically creates a Google Doc version of it and sends it to a folder that everybody can look at. So that would be that's one thing to know about, just so you would always have your own copy of the story, even if it went through PluckyWire, and it would be in the Google Docs format that you're used to. And is John there? I don't.
Yeah, we're a WordPress CMS as well.
Okay.
To your question of automated, ours is a little complicated because we have both a broadcast component and a digital component. I don't know what part is automated in that. A lot of it is manually loaded.
Okay.
But that's where we're coming from.
Okay, great. So this is all so everybody with the CMS here is on WordPress, and that's really helpful to know, because one of the things that we're considering doing is building a plugin for WordPress, which would handle that transfer back and forth between your site and PluckyWire. So that's not ready to go by any means yet, but knowing that you're all using that, I'm going to talk to Stephanie and Joe, and I'll definitely include you in the conversation on that, because were we to build a WordPress plugin, you all would be the people that I am checking with the most to make sure that this works perfectly for you. So I would follow up with you about that in a little bit, but that's really helpful to know. Thank you for sharing. Okay. So Stephanie, we're sort of at the end of what I had on my list to talk about. Is there anything else that we should do here? Otherwise, I think I can suggest next steps, and Andy and I have some work that we already.
Yep. Yeah. Go ahead and suggest those next steps.
Okay. So as I mentioned at the beginning here, the next step is that Andy and I help you get onboarded so that you can poke around, you can get familiar with it, you can try uploading a couple stories. And the general strategy here is that we'll upload some stories so that when we start inviting all the other partners, then they can already see your content there, and they can see how much time this is going to save them and how easy it's going to be for them to download stuff. So some of that's a Andy, Joe, Stephanie decision about how much we upload and how much lag time it is before other partners come in. But Andy and I will reach out to you directly, and we'll send you a link that will help you get signed up and everything. And then I'm going to drop my email again into the chat here. But you should consider me a 24/7 resource for whatever related to this. If it's a collaborative level decision, I'll forward it on to Stephanie and Joe and Andy so they can answer that. But for all the technical stuff here, I have some great developers that work with me, but I built most of the site, and so I can talk to your technical people about whatever sort of issues you're dealing with. So we'll send you that link. Andy and I also have a survey that we've been putting together that addresses some of the additional technical things that would be good for us to know about, just as we're thinking about things like the WordPress plugin. So the next time you would hear from me is an email from me and Andy with that link to sign up. And then Stephanie and Joe and Andy will follow up with the rest of the onboarding sort of thing. Does that all sound right, Stephanie?
I think so.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Magic link, sign up, share content, test, see how it works.
Yeah.
And go from there. Yeah.
Can I
And
add something quick?
yeah,
I'm sorry, because you may have done this in the front end, and again, I apologize for being so late.
no problem.
Is there can you do a screen share or some kind of what this looks like to the reader? Or does it look like every other story in terms of presentation? Or does it have a little tagline that says Plucky provided or NJ Spotlight provided? I mean,
Yeah.
what does it look like on the page?
So the key distinction here is that PluckyWire is currently set up to enable native republication. So you will control all the styling and everything because you'll be loading it into your CMS.
It looks like our current pages.
Correct. So
No additional treatment in terms of subheads or overheads or whatever that relate to, because one of the things we'd like to do, I think, and tell me if this is even doable, is having a place on our page that is our partners' stories on a given day. Not all of them, but I'm picking one out or whatever, and having some kind of presentation of that. And that may be to you, I think you were mentioning a widget
that might actually be a better use test case for DML, possibly.
DML we've seen. Yeah, they showed it. They showed us what theirs is sort of a pop-up page.
Yeah. The problem with it is that, the main issue we're going to have is that contract that we're still waiting for Diane to sign off on from you guys, because so how we just talked about using Creative Commons for, Jay and Mark and Deb's content. We can't just do that for DML. So that's the problem we're going to have. Is getting all the local content that you want into the DML system means all those local providers have to agree to his contract. Whereas like what we just talked about, Johnny, everyone here has to agree to Creative Commons, and it's super common, and most people don't have any issue with Creative Commons. So we're gonna have to talk a little bit more about that. But Johnny, could John get a feed from you that could embed?
Yeah.
Just something that just gives it a little something extra.
Yeah.
So it also distinguishes that it isn't necessarily our content, it's our partners. And that the DML had that, statewide news or whatever they had, that that 3 or 4 collection.
Yep.
Is there a way to do that? When you were walking us through it, Johnny, I thought there was a way to do that that you could like put a note onto the story or some end note or some other content when you put the story up.
There is that. I'm trying to. Can you say more how that would?
Well, I'm just wondering if John's looking for it to be acknowledged produced by somebody else, wouldn't that be where the acknowledgement was?
Oh, yeah, that's by far the easiest place.
Yeah, for that specific story. I mean, now we do it as typically at the top of the story.
Yeah, you can put it either. So like we have these boilerplates where you just select it from the drop down, and then that standard text gets added to that story, and that's the easy way to say, oh, this is from New Jersey News Commons, or this is shared by partners under such and such license, whatever you want to say in there that readers should be aware of. But John, for yours, I mean, some of this is because everybody's, you should try DML and make sure DML may be a great thing for this specific case. But if you're interested in seeing what other options are available for feeds of that kind and how we could be passively pushing you stuff that you can display natively on your site, then let's have a separate conversation, because we export feeds in a bunch of different formats, and we, as I mentioned at one point, we have a widget in development, but it's not in production yet, and it may not even be that you need a full widget. So we could have a separate conversation about that to figure out exactly what you need, and then I would be able to give you a clearer answer of how we could serve that and what that would look like on your end.
And I could go look at it. I mean, granted, you're saying Granite State, they have it. They're a client of yours, right?
Yep.
I'm guessing from your example. So I'll go look at how they do it. It was more, I didn't quite realize it's going to be in our current template, just with some kind of marking. And And so, but I'll go look at others. Is there another client that's worth looking at who uses it a fair amount?
Well, the thing with the way that PluckyWire works is it's mostly behind the scenes. So
Yeah, no, that's what I figured. Yep.
yeah, so things show up on everybody's sites as native stories. It's just that the outlet listed is different. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry to.
No worries. That's a good question. So Stephanie, what do you should we wrap it up? What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh wait, I just
All right.
wanted to quickly add one quick thing. So just so you all understand, so what we're hoping to do is get content into Plucky sometime over the next week or two, so that we have your stories in there. And then as we start showing it to the takers, for lack of a better phrase, the people who would be interested in using your content, they could then see what this would actually look like. So instead of it just being a hypothetical conceptual thing with buckets and the like, we want them to actually see your stories. And if we have a week or two worth of stories, I personally think it's going to make a much more attractive demo to them, that they'll be far more engaged to be like, oh wait, NJ State House News did this, NJ Arts did that, this came out of South Jersey Environmental, Spotlight did this, why isn't this on my site? Oh, I'm interested now. And then they'll start following through more with the pointing and clicking that they'll need to do to then stream it into their site. So we're hoping that in the next week or two you can get some content in there, and then we will be arranging a demo with the people who will be taking the content.
Sounds good.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes.
Magic
Great,
links
thank you.
incoming, right?